Pretty Little Liars debuted in June 2010. Despite the show's penchant for far-fetched scenarios and unlikable characters, PLL gained a massive fan base. So when it was announced that Riverdale creator Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa and his co-writer on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Lindsay Calhoon Bring, were developing a reimagining or reboot, everyone had their doubts. But when Max's Pretty Little Liars Original Sin arrived in 2022, it was a surprising success and people wanted more.
Do we think it's over? Or is there a sequel in the offing?
So what makes this one resonate more with today's audiences? Let's take a look at the ways the horror-focused Original Sin Summer School differs from its predecessor, how it redefines final girls through a feminist lens, and why it connects more than previous attempts to revive or continue the franchise. Pretty Little Liars Original Sin takes place in Millwood, another Pennsylvania town full of dark secrets and unsupervised teens. But instead of the affluent Rosewood where most residents are white and middle class, Millwood is a somewhat rundown blue-collar town. Here our little liars are Imogen Adams, a kind-hearted girl who's pregnant, Tabitha Tabby Hayward, a serious film buff and aspiring filmmaker who frequently calls out the sexist history of horror,
violence perpetrated against women's bodies by men. The foundation of almost every horror movie.
Farron Bryant, a dedicated ballet dancer under pressure to be perfect, Minnie Mouse Hunrada, the quiet tech-savvy girl you'll find wearing headphones and fully entrenched in the internet, and Noah Oliver, a track star with a juvie record and an ankle monitor. Unlike the previous girls, these five aren't friends until they all find themselves in detention after being framed for individual incidents they assume are all the work of their common enemy, Karen Beasley, Millwood's resident mean girl, identical twin sister of Kelly.
Wait, so we're all here because that bitch Beasley targeted us?
Yes, and because no one in the school cares enough to hold her accountable.
By then, they've each received cryptic text messages that they blew off right away. The central mystery doesn't involve missing or presumed deceased friends, but rather why this A randomly started sending vague threats to a group of girls who don't really know each other. Eventually, they connect the dots and realize their mothers attended Millwood High together, with the Allison-esque Davy Adams as their leader. Sydney Hayworth, Corey Bryant, Elodie Hunrada, and Marjorie Oliver were known for being vicious, namely to one girl in particular. At a 1999 New Year's Eve warehouse, Angela Waters, sobbing and ignored by everyone, climbed the rafters and jumped to her death in the middle of the dance floor.
Can you see me now?
But getting their moms to talk about what happened and why she did it proves an uphill battle. Bullying and frustrating parents were big in the original PLL too, what with all of the affairs, secret children, and unfairly high expectations. But the Millwood moms have a lot to be ashamed of when it comes to Angela. In flashbacks, we see how the girls individually and collectively terrorized her. Corey tricks her into getting a tattoo. Elodie kisses her, then says Angela attacked her when they're caught. Marjorie makes her take the fall for smoking at school. When Angela said that Davy's boyfriend Tom Beasley assaulted her, Davy immediately lashed out at her, then convinced everyone in the school to erase her, which is seemingly what pushed Angela to end her life.
Turn Angela into a ghost. Make her invisible. As if she were nothing.
And that's what we did. Because Davy wanted us to.
Over 10 episodes, Imogen, Tabby, Farron, Mouse, and Noah go through hell trying to figure out the full story of Angela and how she's connected to the person stalking them. In the finale, it's revealed that the most unassuming Principal Clanton was the evil brains, and his son, Archie Waters, the secret twin brother of Angela, was the murderous Braun. Clanton's theatrical judgment day ends with a pregnant Imogen running home and physically fighting Archie, to the death almost. Both survive along with her baby. A time jump takes us to Christmas Eve, where everyone and their moms feel safe enough to celebrate. But as we see in Season 2, the nightmare isn't completely over. With Original Sin's focus on horror, particularly the slasher genre, the idea of final girls is frequently referenced. And after surviving what was dubbed the Millwood Massacre, these girls have more than earned their title. Season 2, Summer School, is less about generational trauma involving their moms, and more about each of the girls processing their trauma. PLL alum Dr. Sullivan holds group therapy sessions to talk with them about their fears, including struggling with how to feel normal, while finding themselves as people, all while dealing with an untrustworthy justice system and true crime sensationalism. Mouse becomes obsessed with Archie's disturbing fan base on the creepypasta-like Spooky Spaghetti website. Farron, no longer dancing, focuses on her physical strength. Tabby and Imogen spent most of last season trying to figure out who attacked them. They suspect it could have been one of the misogynistic jocks or a stranger, but it turns out to be Chip, Tabby's best friend and Imogen's brief potential love interest, the nice guy.
You stole from me. I don't feel safe anymore. I never feel safe.
Proving that not every threat looks like Jason Voorhees. The season dives deeper into female rage, especially Tabby, who channeled her anger and pain into a semi-autobiographical film.
I'm pissed that Imogen and I never got our day in court, and I'm livid that I put my heart and soul into a movie that no one gets to see because it makes my rapist look bad.
Assault revenge horror films, mostly directed by men, have been around for decades. But there's some local backlash for Tabby's film, which is told from her perspective. Like many of today's horror films and shows, the series challenges the final girl trope by not making them innocent, virginal damsels in distress, or, on the other end of the spectrum, hard-as-nails strong women.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula!
These are real girls who are strong and resilient, but also vulnerable, and aren't afraid to lean on each other for support.
9 months pregnant, you went toe-to-toe with a 6'4" jacked supervillain monster and won.
Facts. That was some final girl energy, Laurie Strode realness.
The series not only explores the central mystery and threat of A, but shows the grounded and very real horrors women and girls face regularly. And while mental health is prevalent in both series, it's better handled in this modern take. The success of the OG series was due in part to the strong bond between our main liars and their meaningful connections to the various mysteries, something neither of the other spin-offs managed to do. Season 4 of PLL introduced the eerie Ravenswood, making way for a spin-off centered on Caleb Rivers' supernatural misadventures in a town with a dark secret.
I know it sounds crazy, but Ravenswood has a reputation. We all know it. People say this place is cursed. Maybe this is what they're talking about.
After PLL ended, Freeform premiered 2019's The Perfectionists, which followed Allison and Mona to an elite college where they became embroiled in another murder mystery.
It was a long time ago. It was a game that got out of hand. We were kids. Dana's an adult. She's not an A.
Neither show established interesting or believable friendships between new characters and the ones we already knew. Original Sin succeeds in compelling characters with strong personalities and friendship dynamics that don't try to mimic the OG liars. And while Season 1 had some visual Easter eggs and briefly referenced characters like Arya and Ezra,
they've been wanting to have a baby for a while. I think they're both writers and one owns a bookshop. Their names are Arya and Ezra.
The show doesn't limit itself by focusing on making these connections, a freedom that contributed to the show's success. There's also the added realism of hearing them curse and seeing them wear regular clothes instead of treating every day like a fashion show. Plus, not going to school because they were dealing with a serial killer actually resulted in summer school instead of going unaddressed. PLL wasn't exactly known for its representation when it came to inclusivity and diversity. Emily Fields was the single woman of color in the core friend group, and black characters were noticeably killed off frequently. Troyan Belisario is multiracial, but her character Spencer Hastings and her secret twin, Alex Drake, was white-coded. Emily is also the only main LGBTQ+ character, though in later seasons she and Ali become an official couple. Transgender representation was non-existent until the Season 5 finale when A was revealed to be Cece Drake, who was born Charles De Laurentiis and later transitioned while in Radley Sanitarium, going by Charlotte.
You can't steal people from their families and lock them up to play with them like they were toys.
Yes, I can, and I did.
People weren't exactly thrilled that the only trans character turned out to be the show's crazed villain. In contrast, the cast of Original Sin is made up of a range of racially diverse and queer characters, including a trans man actually played by a trans actor. While the series touches on race and sexuality, their identities aren't used as plot points, it's just who they are. A major point of contention in PLL's legacy is the prevalence of adult men, cops, doctors, teachers, pursuing high schoolers, an alarming amount of problematic relationships came and went over the course of 7 seasons. However, Arya and Ezra were the main ship in the series, a teacher in his 20s and a 16-year-old, but it's okay because they're soulmates and get married when she's an adult. Original Sin's season finale teased they would be the adoptive parents of Imogen's baby, but the decision to bring the couple back into the fold was ultimately canned.
The thing that Roberto and Lindsay and all of us, I think, try to do so well is to be as thoughtful and mindful towards the subject matters that we're dealing with. And so I wasn't surprised by that.
Thankfully, Original Sin wasted no time calling out older guys preying on young girls.
1 second, I'm making dinner, the next you're gone.
Wes, you used the flash drive as leverage to lure me to your place. What you did was really f***ed up.
Whether you consider it a guilty pleasure, comfort watch, or just nostalgic escapism, the PLL universe lets us immerse ourselves in an aesthetically pleasing, bonkers world. We enjoy watching the drama, the fashion, and pretty people dating other pretty people. We theorized about A, but it's not a show that's meant to be deeply analyzed. Realistic, relatable characters aren't necessarily essential for a good series. However, these recognizable characters and their circumstances are effective in getting us more invested in their stories, and there's still some suspension of disbelief, like how and why small-town Millwood would have a private dance studio at the high school. But in the end, each series offers great storytelling in their own ways, and with a new season filled with more horror homages, potential love triangles, and a therapy-themed hot girl summer, we can't wait to see where it goes. That's The Take. Click here to watch a video we think you'll love, or here to check out a whole playlist of awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive new videos.